Good afternoon and welcome to another episode of Unscripted and Unchained RPG Review. I am Bluddworth, and as you can see by the graphics, today is going to be a first look of Worlds Without Number by Kevin Crawford. So I'm just going to do this in several parts, and the first part I'm going to deal with the introduction and the character creation. So without further ado, let me jump right into giving a full screen look at the hardcover. So this is a real monster of a book, and to be quite honest with you, I backed the Kickstarter a while ago, although not really a long while ago. So it did come out fairly quickly in comparison to some other Kickstarters. So I give him a lot of credit there, and it was probably about 95%, complete before the Kickstarter began, and that's usually the best thing to do, so that you can fulfill your Kickstarter in a pretty quick manner. So and I had back the hardcover, and the pledge that I put in for was a $25 for the print on demand, hardcover voucher, along with the PDF as well, and the PDF of the DM's screen for it as well. So I had done that. I was like, fine, $25, not a big deal. The print on demand voucher was to get it at cost for about $27. So in all, less than $60 for this hardcover. And when I got it in the mail yesterday, I was like, wow, I really wasn't expecting a package of a book that big. And then when I opened it up, I was like, oh, okay, I was waiting for this. I just had no idea. This is a monster of a book. And, flipping through it, really, really nice details with it, which I'll be able to show you to a certain extent with the PDF. But I mean, you can see here the art is really good, and what you can see is the quality. So the page quality is very nice. It's a little bit on the thicker side, and the print is easy to follow. Slightly larger print than usual too, so it gives it a nice clean look to it. Very easy to read and follow along with it. Charts are clear to see. Where they do the alternating grayscale and white, and here you have some more detailed charts here, so a little bit easier. They have the elementalists in other worlds, so kind of like a cutout section of it where you can see some flavor or other designs. Here's the world of the latter Earth. So full page map here, and there's obviously one. That was another one of the things that came with the PDFs was the map of the world itself, and society construction. So lots of tables for building a world setting and such, which is the main thing why I bought this, was that I was looking for a system to help me in creating worlds, because almost all of the settings that I do for my role playing are usually homebrewed settings anyway. So I wanted to get a hold of this because I knew that it would give me tools in order to do some world building, and but it also comes as an RPG as well, and I will focus on that as well. So it is its own RPG, plus it has settings or world building setting chapters for it, which is the real reason why I bought this. So let's go right to the PDFs now, and let me make sure that I do this correctly. So here we go. So we're going to start, and we're just going to focus on the first real section of it is the introduction and the and character generation. So here's the tales of the latter Earth, and the author goes into, you know, the whole story. I'm not going to read this line by line, but I like the fact that he does start off with giving you some background of the world. And Worlds Without Number is a fantasy role-playing game set in the far future of the latter Earth, after innumerable eons of human history, alien rule, and unfathomable arcane evolution. The players take up the role of adventurers in this fading age, raising sword and sorcery against the foes of humanity and the obstacles that hinder their own ambitious aims. Many will perish on the spears of bitter rivals, be rent by the talons of monstrous beasts, or fall prey to their own reckless daring. Others, however, may yet live to obtain a name more glorious than kings. And so he goes into the characters in the Worlds Without Number are assumed to be budding adventurers, men and women who have particular talents suitable to a life of daring, exploration, bloody battles, or ruthless intrigue. And we'll focus on the gameplay a little bit later, but it is based on an old school Renaissance rules chassis, strongly inspired by classic gaming books of Gary Gygax, Dave Arneson, Thomas Mulvey, and Zeb Cook. The roots of the system date back to the very earliest of the hobby. And so, once again, he's using the terminology, which if you've been following some of my most recent videos, old school Renaissance, to me at least, and it appears that it means the same to Kevin Crawford, is that a Renaissance means a rebirth, and we're looking at a game system that borrows heavily from the old and then adds some new twists to it. So, and he goes on, there are millions of people worldwide who understand the basic outline of the system, and this enormous well of familiarity is one of the main reasons why it was chosen as a base. So, so it is the basis of the game, but the game is going to add some of its own flavor to it. So let's go right to character creation. So the first step in Worlds Without Number is to roll up each player's character or PC. While it's possible to play the game with just a single player and a game master, it works best with a group of 3 to 5 players and a GM. A solitary hero is hard-pressed to survive the myriad of perils of latter Earth, and a number of trustworthy companions are needed if the hero has to have much of a chance of victory. Almost all these games you can play with what I call a DM plus one, but the individual PC character is going to need to utilize like a variety of like henchmen or expert hirelings or those types of crutches in order to help fill some of those gaps. So that's what the author is talking about here as well. It's not impossible to play it with a GM plus one, but you know, but it is more geared towards your standardized sized groups of 3 to 5. Let's see. So what players need to know, and this is my first time looking through it as well. So you know, this is definitely an unscripted and unchained viewing of this. legates. Let's see what this is about. So the rules in this section describe the creation of the normal PC heroes. They might be gifted swordsmen, capable young wizards, or talented thieves and explorers, but they are fundamentally normal human beings. They lack the link with the legacy that makes for the superhuman powers of a legate. In the example campaign worlds of the latter Earth, the heroic PC can hope to become a legate only after reaching the peak of their potential, only after exhausting the limits of normal human capacity. Can they gain the recognition of the legacy and inherit its gifts. In other campaign settings, superhuman heroes such as legates may not exist at all. In sword and sorcery pulp setting, it might be entirely inappropriate for heroes to ever become so personally mighty, while a high fantasy setting might make such divine strength more available to PCs. All right, so it's kind of talking about like quasi deities or truly heroic figures of fantasy or mythology. Incredible artwork. Summary of character creation. So I'm going to jump right to the bulletized section. Roll your 6 attributes in order or assign them from an array using strength, dexterity, constitution, intelligence, wisdom, and charisma. Attributes reflect the basic potential of your hero, a 3d6 6 times, and assign them in order, or use the array of 14, 12, 11, 10, 9, and 7, assign as you wish. If you randomly roll your scores, you may then pick one attribute to change to a score of 14. All right. Oh, that's interesting. So you can roll your 3d6 and then take most likely your lowest score and make it a 14. Mark down your attributes modifiers for each score. When you're rolling dice and are affected by an attribute, you don't apply the whole score. Instead, you apply the attribute modifier. A score of a 3 is a modifier of -2. 4 to 7 is -1. 8 to 13 is none. 14 to 17 is a +1, and an 18 is a +2. I pick a background from the list on page 11. All right, you'll gain the free skill listed under the background name at level 0, which equates to the ordinary professional knowledge of it. All right, so there is such a thing as 0 level characters in this, and from their background will be what their prior to adventuring ordinary professional knowledge was. Decide whether to roll for additional skills or pick them. If you pick your skills, you can choose 2 more skills from the learning table for your background, with the exception of entries that say any skill, which you may not pick. You cannot pick entries from the growth table. If you're not sure what to pick, just take the quick skills list from your background at level 0. If you choose to roll for your skills, you can roll up to 3 times, dividing up your rolls between the growth and the learning tables as you wish. When you roll on the growth table, the results may say +2 physical or +2 mental. In the former case, you can add 2 points to either your strength, dexterity, or constitution, or 1 or 2 point differential stats. In the latter case, you can add 2 points to either intelligence, wisdom, or charisma, or divide the bonus between 2 of them. All right, so that's why they kind of limit your choices. You can't pick a growth. But if you're rolling randomly, you would roll on the random chart. So another way to boost your ability scores. Choose your class from those starting on page 18, representing those talents you have that are most relevant to an adventurer's lifestyle. If your hero isn't well described by warrior, expert, or mage, you can choose adventurer and mixed classes. Choose your foci, representing the side talents or particular specialization of your hero. You can pick one level of a focus of your choice. Characters with an expert class or a partial expert feature of an adventurer get one level of a non-combat focus for free in addition to this. They can spend both levels on the same focus, starting with level 2 in it if they wish. Characters with the warrior class or partial warrior feature of the adventurer class can do the same in choosing one level of a combat-related focus. Optionally, if your GM will allow non-human PCs, you can make your character into one such creature by spending a focus. Pick on the appropriate origins focus. Non-humans are described in the bestiary chapter starting on page 280. Note that not all campaigns allow non-human PCs. Even if they exist in the campaign world, they may not fit the particular time of your GM's game. Wow, what a huge departure from let's say 5th edition D&D, where basically if the player wants it, the GM is strongly encouraged to give in to that. So yeah, that's a huge tonal difference when it comes to the GM being kind of in charge of their own table, their own setting and such. So now pick one skill of your choice to reflect your hero's outside interests, natural talents, hobby expertise, or other personal focus. If you choose the mage class or chosen to be an adventurer with the partial magic class, you need to pick a tradition for your sorcerer. These are listed in the magic chapter starting on page 60. You may be a full-fledged high mage, necromancer, or elementalist, or you may be an adventurer with only a partial class in these arcane arts or expertise in the magically gifted partial class of healer or vowed. If you're a full high mage, elementalist, or necromancer, or partial in two of these, choose 4 starting spells from your class first level spell list. Partial mages of this class pick only 2. Record these on the back of your sheet. Roll your maximum hit points and add your constitution modifier to the minimum of 1 hit point. The die you roll depends on the class you've chose. Warriors roll d6 plus 2, experts roll d6, and mages roll a d6 minus 1. Adventurers use the tables on page 21 depending on which partial class they took. If you lose all of your hit points, your PC will be mortally wounded or slain outright. And so here we have the character sheet. And I'll actually show you the character sheet in a few moments. So step 13 is to note down any base attack bonus you may have. And then this is going to go more towards filling out the chart now. So choose one of the equipment packages on page 29 and roll 3d6 times 10 to find out how many starting silver pieces you have with which to buy gear. Mark down your total number of hit point bonuses with your weaponry. This is equal to your base attack bonus plus either your punch, stab, or shoot skill depending on the kind of weapon it is, plus your relevant attribute modifier. All right, weapons tables are found on page 37. And we'll go into, if you haven't got a level 0 skill at combat, take a -2 penalty on the to hit roll. Note down the damage done by your weapons. This is equal to its base damage plus attribute modifiers. If it's a punch weapon, you can add your punch skill to the damage as well. Recording your armor class. Measure how hard it is to hit your hero in a fight. The armor table on page 35 gives a score for a given harness. Different suits of armor gain different armor classes. If you aren't wearing any armor at all, your base AC is 10. Add your dexterity minor to the AC. In order to hurt your PC, an enemy has to roll on a d20, adding their attack bonus equal to or exceeding your armor class. So this is ascending armor class. So the higher the armor class, the better. AC 10 if you're unclothed. Add your dexterity modifier. In order to hurt your PC, an enemy has to roll an attack roll on a d20, adding their attack bonus and equaling or exceeding your AC. So, yeah, it's ascending armor class. I think. We'll see when we take a better look at it. Note down your beginning saving throws. All right, and there's physical, evasion, mental, and luck saving throws. Lastly, wrap up your PC with a name and a goal. Every hero, all right, needs. Every hero has a goal. This goal might change, but your PC should always have some reason to go out and interact with the world before them. Stay-at-home PCs, aloof loners, excessively prudent heroes, and those unwilling to dare greatly for their aims are rarely fun to play. So we go into attributes and the effects of various attributes, how they're represented. Your base ability scores. So an 18 is a +2, a 14 to 17 is a +1, an 8 to 13 is no modifier, a 4 to 7 is -1, and a 3 is a -2. All right, this seems to be talking about attributes and abilities in play. Basically, it's going to be a combination of ability checks or skill checks. So you have skills. Skill levels are from 0 to 4. Skill level 0 is an ordinary competence at a skill, as might be had by a common practitioner. A level 4 obviously is one of the best in the world, able to push the skill to its physical limits. When heroes attempt to pull off their feat by exceptional expertise, they must make a skill check. The player rolls 2d6 and adds their relevant skill level to it and the modifier of their most pertinent attribute score. If they have no relevant skill at all, they subtract 1 from the roll. If the total is equal to or higher than the check's difficulty, then the attempt is a success. If less, then they either fail to succeed in the way that doesn't help them, or cruel fate intervenes to spoil their effort. Skill list, you have administrator, connect, find or know people who are useful to your purpose. All right, so connections, convince, craft, expert, heal, know, lead, magic, notice, perform, pray, punch, ride, sail, shoot, sneak, stab, survive, trade, or work. Work, let's see. This skill is a catch-all for any profession that might not otherwise merit its own skill, such as a painter, lawyer, farmer, or herdsman. Okay, interesting. So the backgrounds, remember you get to pick a background, and backgrounds come with some starting skills. So an artisan could be a blacksmith, a tanner, or a carpenter. A barbarian might be a savage hermit or a wild man. A carter is hauling goods or riding post. A courtesan is a harlot, artful companion. A criminal is a thief, a con man, or a burglar. So laborer is a skilled or unskilled urban worker. Merchants are trader, peddler, and shopkeeper, and so on. So a priest is a monk, a nun, or a holy hermit. A thug is a ruffian, a gang member, or a village bully. A wanderer is an exile, explorer, or a traveler. And then we go into the various groupings. So an artisan has a free skill, crafting, 0. Quick skills. So if you chose these quick skills, your trade is 0 and your connect is also 0. Your growth. So on a d6 roll, you can get plus to any stat, +2 to physical. A 3 is a +2 to physical. A 4 is a +2 to mental. 5 is exert, and 6 is any skill. And then under your learning, you have connect, convince, craft, expert, know, notice, and trade. And so on. So we have the different types of backgrounds here. Remember, physical is not just physical strength, but it's also falls into dexterity and constitution. And mental is intelligence, wisdom, and charisma. Interesting stuff. Choosing a class. So, experts are masters of non-combat skills such as stealth, medicine, diplomacy, and other practical talents. While any hero can become quite skilled in such undertakings, an expert learns these skills faster and can use them more effectively than other classes, often succeeding where the different heroes would surely have failed. Mages include not only classical wizards, but also those heroes who rely on supernatural powers for usefulness, and such as magical healers, ascetic unarmed combatants, and supernaturally wise sages. Warriors, clearly your fighter types are using sword or bow or fist to overcome their enemies. Adventurers are a class for those players who can't quite decide. So they're kind of like a jack of all trades and a master of none. And we go through the various breakdowns. So an expert, whether they're any of those particular classes. So you could be a thief, you could be a healer, you could be a scholar or an explorer or an artisan. And so your level and your hit dice are all uniform amongst this one main archetype, or archetype, I should say. Class ability, masterful expertise. Once per scene, the expert may re-roll any non-combat skill check as an instant action. This allows the expert to make a roll and then immediately use the ability, and the resulting total isn't good enough to succeed in case where the better of the two rolls is used. Class ability, quicker learning. When you advance a character level, you gain an extra skill point at which may only be spent on gaining or improving non-combat skills or raising attributes. You may save this point to spend later if you wish. All right, so that's pretty major that you can raise your attribute scores, as an expert. Mages, let's see what their special is here. So class ability is Arcane Tradition. The mage may pick one magical tradition to represent their occult powers, as listed in the Magic chapter starting on page 60. This tradition may give a number of additional benefits and restrictions. Okay. Warrior class ability is Veteran's Luck. Once per scene, as an instant action, the warrior may turn a missed attack they have made into a hit. Alternately, they may turn a successful attack against them into a miss. Okay. A class ability is Killing Blow. Whenever a warrior inflicts damage with an attack, spell, or special ability, they may add half of their character's level, rounded up, to the damage done. This damage is also added to any shock they may inflict. Combined with the foci meant to improve shock or attacks such as Arms Master, Close Combatant, or Shocking Assault, the ability ensures that the experienced warrior will almost always kill an ordinary human soldier or minor monster regardless of their attack roll result. Interesting. So the adventurer, there seems to be the three types. So there's the pure adventurer, then there is the partial expert, partial warrior, partial expert, partial mage, or partial mage, partial warrior. So you can kind of almost split class here as an adventurer. Choosing a foci. So let's see what foci are. Once you know your hero's class, you can choose their foci, special knacks or talents that your hero has developed. Each focus generally comes in 2 levels. The first time you pick it, you get the first level of the focus, and the second time you choose it and gain at second level. Okay, and you gain its second level. And they go here. So level 1 is you gain a notice, reading alert. You gain a notice bonus skill. You cannot be surprised, nor can others use the execution attack upon you. And at level 2, you also act first in combat round unless someone else involved is also alert. All right, so it kind of gives you almost an automatic initiative. So that's fairly powerful if you consider you can never be surprised, you can never get an execution attack against you, and that's just at level 1. Armored magic. You can use spells, cast, or use arts while wearing armor that has an encumbrance value of no more than 2. You can use a shield while casting, providing other hand is empty for gestures. All right, so cool. So it's one way of a magic user basically being able to wear at least some form of armor. Arms Master, you gain a stab as a bonus skill. You can ready and stow a melee weapon or thrown weapon as an instant action. You may add your stab skill to a melee or thrown weapon damage roll or shock damage, assuming, and at second level, the shock from your melee attacks also treats the target as if it had an AC 10, gaining a +1 bonus to hit with all thrown or melee attacks. All right, so each of these foci really do add quite a bit of strength to your character. And there are quite a number of them. So Polymath, I'm reading this one. So you have the passing acquaintance with the vast variety of practical skills and pastimes, and you can make a modest attempt to almost any exercise of skill or artistry. You gain 1 bonus skill. You treat all non-combat skills as if you are at least level 0 for the purposes of skill checks. All right, so you become like a jack of many things and at least a novice of all. So that's pretty cool. Okay. Final touches. So in the final stage of creating your hero involves noting down some numbers and particulars to round off their creation. You need to roll their starting hit points, pick a free skill, and to do all the extra record keeping to save time during play. And we go here, and basically I read this to you in the earlier parts. Record starting languages, choose starting equipment, record weapons and armor, pick a name, goal, and ties. So there's equipment packages here. So if you're an adventuring peasant, here are the equipment packages. You may choose to, start these off, with these. As a DM, you might say to the player, well, this is your starting gear, and then you'll have the roll. Or you could let them just start from scratch and buy generally. For ease of play, I would probably have them start off with this, and then they can modify beyond that. Example of character creation. So they give you a whole thing here. I will spend some time showing you the separate PDF, which is a fillable PDF, which is really nice, of the character sheet. List of adventuring gears, and then there's gear bundles. So basically a bundle is you get the artisan equipment at a cost of 50 silver pieces, criminal tools at 100 silver pieces, dungeoneering kits at 200 silver pieces, noble courtier outfits at 1,000 silver pieces, performers implements at 100, wilderness travel gear at 100, beasts and transports, hirelings and day laborers. So you could add these hirelings to your entourage. Services and living expenses. Armor, so let's see. There's no armor is AC 10. A war shirt is AC 11. So as I said, it's ascending armor class. A thorax is 13. War robe is 14. Pieced armor is a 14. Remember that encumbrance was, so pieced armor, an encumbrance of 2. Pieced armor, a wizard could wear a encumbrance of 2, or an encumbrance of 1 or 0, obviously, of encumbrance armor. Medium, they could wear a mail shirt. Cuirass or greaves, but not scaled armor. Heavy armors, only 2 types they could wear. That's only with that particular feature, if they had that particular feature. So very interesting how they kind of mix the abilities. And we have basic weapons charts. Okay, so let's take a look at the... So here's the character sheet, and let's see, I will expand here. And once again, form fillables. So this is a really nice touch that you automatically have a form fillable character sheet that you can just come in here and type in any of the blue shaded areas. And this here, you can probably cut and paste your sketch or your sigil of your character, and you can keep track of ammunition here. Your physical saves, your evasion, your mental, and your luck. Mount details, stowed items, magical arts, high magic, ally. So it's a fairly comprehensive double-sided character sheet. Plenty of room to add your readied items. That means your items that you're ready to use. Your worn items, obviously, what you are currently wearing. Up to 5 weapons here. Ammunition, so you would put your type, and then your pips for how many you still have you're carrying. Your skill points, so they have all the skills listed here, and then you just put in your level, your modifier, any skill points remaining to spend. And finally, here's the world map, and there you can scroll in and then move it around. So it's fairly interactive, and you can see that it's a nice detailed map that also comes in as part of the PDF package that the game comes along with. So as you can see, I mean, this is really a pretty complex game system. Very huge volume, and like I said, under $60. So it's a pretty good pretty good buy for what it's giving you as far as having a full system, plus then all the randomized charts and everything near the end, and it's a combined Game Master's Guide, Player's Guide, World Book. But we will go into more details with additional chapters following character creation. So I'll get into the actual game rules in the next video, and talk a little bit about that, and hopefully address any comments that you leave on this video to take a different look or a better look at certain parts of character creation. Like I said, this is a first look, kind of a real quick overview, and I will do a separate video where I'm actually walking you through creating a character with this game system. So there will be a whole separate video after I cover the rules and all of the rest of the sections of the book, and then I'll wrap it up with actually creating a character for the game, and then maybe we'll get a game session going, which will always be a lot of fun to do. I know I often say, I look forward to seeing you on the gaming screen sometime soon, and that certainly applies to playing some of these new games that I pick up, either as a player or as a GM. I prefer to play a game first as a player before I dump headlong into being a GM for these systems. So once again, thanks for joining. I hope you liked this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you hadn't subscribed, please consider subscribing. And as always, I look forward to seeing you on a gaming screen sometime soon. Also, as always, be safe out there. Continue playing. Continue looking at the games that are coming out there. So here's an example of an OSR. This would be an old school Renaissance, all right, game. So it means that it borrows from some of the old and new twists to it. So that's an old school Renaissance game. So Once again, thanks for joining. Have a great rest of your afternoon, and I look forward to seeing you. Take care.